Hi, I'm Bill Vilberg. I really enjoyed that presentation on the achievements and badges and some of the new capabilities. Really changes the dynamics of education rather than just getting a grade. And it seems kind of foolish in one dimension that the little stickers in college are what students will work for, but I think all the research shows that they really will search for those stickers and work at them. So I'm anxious to hear about some faculty who try it. I want to talk about the Blackboard Calendar, and I particularly want to talk about the Blackboard Calendar because for many years when I was doing the Blackboard training, I simply said, don't use the Blackboard Calendar. It was so bad that it just wasn't worth struggling with. And it has improved. There are new features in it. There are new things that it can do. And I just want to talk about it. Now, we do have a session recorded on the date management. I'll be referring to date management, but all the details are in a separate recording or presentation. So let's get started. The Blackboard Calendar can be very useful in reminding students when work is due, when they have to take a test or they have to turn in a paper or something like that. And Blackboard added the due date to items in the content area and assignments and things like that. So there's a when does it turn on, when does it turn off, and then there's a separate due date. And if you enter the due date, those things automatically go into the calendar. So that could simplify the whole process. Any assignments, anything like that, just enter the due date, boom, the items in the calendar. You can manually add items, things like lectures or other activities that you want the students to be thinking about or doing. So you can add those to the calendar, and they'll appear in the calendar when the student goes there. The calendar allows you to drag and drop items. So if you change the date that a paper is due from Friday to Monday, you can just go to the, I take that back. You can drag and drop items to move them, but I don't know, we'll probably have to check that right now. I think when you do that, it doesn't change the when it's available and when it's unavailable and due date. It just changes the calendar item. But you can drag and drop items. I remember back when we had a number of hurricanes come through and people really had to change their syllabi. And the topics moved all over the place. Well, if you had all of your lectures in the calendar with the topic on it, you could just drag them to the new date and all the students would see the changes. And then you could bulk move due dates using date management. That's a case where you want to move everything from this semester to next semester. Or you've copied your course and everything is now in the past semester that it's due, and you want to move it into the current semester. So you get to see everything, you get to add a new, add 180 days to it or whatever it is, and it can really simplify the process. I've got a couple slides to show you what it looks like in Blackboard, and then this will be, as Rick's one was, primarily a demo of me going through the process. In the Tools area on the Blackboard homepage, when you log into Blackboard, there is a calendar link. That's the one way to get to your calendars, all of them. In the course, you can add a course calendar item to the menu. When you do, they'll be able to click on that. You can also add the To-Do on Blackboard module if you have a modular homepage, and I think Michael Somebody gave a demo of that, and we've got a recording of how to make a modular homepage that has not just my announcements, but this other information. And in this case, on the one that I'm showing on the screen, on the right side, you see the to-do on Blackboard. And at the bottom, you see that this week there's one thing due. I'll go in and show you exactly what that looks like when I demo it. But that's a way that the due dates not only populate the calendar, but also go into this to-do module to help the students stay cognizant of what's due when. When you do click on the course calendar, this is a student's view. It opens up this calendar. Let me get my pointer here. The item is the calendar. There are 3 different views you can have for the calendar. We're currently looking at the month view. So over on the right side, you see the whole month of July. There's also a week view that I'll show you during the demo, and a daily view that I'll show you during the demo. There is a plus sign up here, and this is student. So what happens when the student adds an item to the calendar? Does it go there for everyone in the calendar? No. It's a personal calendar for each student. You can see down at the bottom of the calendars, again, I'll show this during the demo, there are a number of calendars here, one for each course, an institutional calendar, and a personal calendar. So you can decide which ones you show and which ones you hide. But if you're in the course, by default, the course calendar is on. And all of these items, these are actually the lectures that I've got here at 1 o'clock. And then here's one at 8 a.m. And I don't know if you could read that, but I'll show you that when we get to it. And that's a quiz that has to be completed by 8 o'clock in the morning because it's going to be referred to during class at 1 o'clock. When the instructor goes and clicks on the plus, they get this display, and I can tell it's the instructor because it says demonstration course, and this item will go into the course calendar, and the student can't put anything into the course calendar. This does have a drop down over here on the right, and I'll show you that, and that's where the instructor could say, oh, I just want this on my personal calendar, or whatever, or one of my other course calendars or something like that. And that's it for slides. So let me go to my Firefox window, and can I get a green check if that is up on your screen? Thank you, Brett. Okay, so I am looking at the Blackboard homepage. You can see the Blackboard. This is the page that shows up right after logging in. On the left side, I've got Tools, and the second link is Calendar, and that's been there forever. So I click on Calendar, and up comes the calendar. Now, I am the instructor of a number of courses. This is a demo course, a demo course and demo account. I'm going to scroll that down a little bit so you can begin to see what's going on here. Here is the demonstration course that I'll be working in, and it's blue. And a little lower, I've got the Send Email Tool test site, which is in green. And over here on the right, you'll see 2 items for the green and a whole bunch of items for the blue. That's what a student would see if they clicked on their calendar link on the front page, and a number of faculty were using the calendar. They could see what was going on. There's some clues here. Some things are repeats. These are just my Math 101 lectures. Here's a 10 question and a check mark. That's an assignment. That's something due on that day at 8 o'clock. And I've got a paper due at 11:59 p.m. It was due on the 25th, so it has to be completed by 11:59. And I've got a lecture, I think, on hybrid plants at 3:15 on the 24th. So you can see how the calendar would begin to fill up with things. You can add more stuff. You could have the institutional calendar, which currently is empty, but I expect to populate that with the academic dates, the beginning and end of the semester, the beginning and end of finals, when things have to be turned in, stuff like that. You can turn on and off your personal calendar. That is, if you want things here that need to be on your that need to be on your academic calendar, which is what this is essentially, but just for you, you can put them in your personal calendar. Again, I told you about the plus. I need to put a meet with my advisees. I want to put that in my personal calendar. I can set the date and time, 28th. I'm not happy with the way you set time here, but that's life. I would like to be able to select this and type it in addition to having these sliders, but as I said, okay, so that's where it's going to start, and then I go over to here, and I want it to end at 4 p.m., we'll say. What is it, 2 p.m.? Oh, let's make it till 3:30. Done. Save. And now down here you see this red item that just showed up on the 28th. Meet with my, and I can't read it, but all I have to do is click on it, and up comes the title. I could put a description here for myself, the list of people I'm meeting with, where I'm doing it, all kinds of other information. So it turns out it's a pretty good calendar in that it's very easy to use. It certainly isn't as powerful as Gmail or Outlook or any of those. But it does have a nice feature. If I decide, oh, I can't do that on the 28th, I'm going to move it to the 30th, that's all it takes. That item is now on the 30th. If I did that with a class, if I had something that I wanted them to do before class on the 16th, so I put an item on the 15th and said, oh, I'm going to cover that on the 17th, I could just drag it over to the 17th. There it would be for the students who took a look at the calendar to see what was going on. Okay, let me go through. Let me go back to my courses and go into my demonstration course right here. Now, remember that I'm the instructor here. You can see the control panel at the bottom. That's one clue. And you can also see this go to student view and edit mode is on. So this is the instructor's view here. It's interesting that the instructor doesn't show anything to do this week. There is an item due this week, but the instructor doesn't have to do it because it's a test. So it doesn't show up there for the instructor. Only students see what they have to do this week. I've created this front page for my course with announcements, with what's new, and with to do on Blackboard, again, to give the students be able to come to my site and quickly focus on what's important for them to get done. I can make announcements to tell them what to do. They can look here and see things that have happened in demonstration course. Oh, that just took me to the course that I'm already in. I can open it and edit it, but they can see what's going on there. And over here on To Do, they will see what's going on. Let's jump over to my student view for demo student and show you that under What's New in this course, one content item seems to be new. So I can click on the down arrow and see Student Located Resources. That's a wiki I made where the students can add material for each chapter or topic in the course that they find in other places. It's a great strategy to use when working with students because they go out to YouTube. They find other things on the web to help them learn the material. So let them share that. Let them be part of the learning experience and encourage them to do that with a wiki or something like that. But as soon as I added that, it shows up under What's New. Over here, under This Week, there's one item due. If I expand that, it shows me 10 questions, which is a 10-question quiz. Not well named. Please try to use names that are better than that. It's due 7/25/14. And I can just click on it and go there and begin taking the test. If I'm ready, I can go to I'm in the course, so I can go into the course documents. I think that's where it is. I don't have an assignments, and find it and take it, but that brings it out to the surface. Now, tomorrow, today is currently July 23rd. This is due on July 25th. So as I approach, it will say, tomorrow I have something due. And then on the 25th, it will say, today I have something to do. And you wish it would kind of flash red and say, okay, get this done. It's due. But you do have to keep some awareness of what's going on. But that gives me those due dates. Now, the due dates, let me get back to the demo user. Oh, there. I scrolled it down, return to teacher view. And just to remind you, in the course documents, I've got this 10-question quiz. And if I edit the test options, this is the display after and display until. That turns on and off that item so that students can see it. But that doesn't say that that's the due date. Right? Display until just hides it. It doesn't say you have to have completed it by then. That's down in this section, due date. So when you're making something like a test, like something graded, if there is a due date, take the time to set the due date. And you don't have to set the turn on, turn off, the display before, display after, and display until. But at least set the due date so that it will go into the calendar, so that the to-do items will show students that this is something that they have to do. Okay, so I wanted to show you that. That automatically populates the calendar. If I take that due date away, boom, it disappears from the calendar. If I create something else with a due date or I change that due date, it goes in. Now, I had a question. If I go to the calendar and I change this due date from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., so it's now due on the 25th at 11 a.m., what happens back with my item? So let's go back to course documents. Let's go to the item itself, which was the 10-question quiz. Let's edit the test options. If you edit the test, you're changing the questions themselves. The test options are when does it turn on, when does it turn off, what's the due date, how many points is it worth, all that kind of stuff. So I want to edit the test options. I want to scroll down, and I want to see how good the programmers at Blackboard are. Display until is still 8 a.m., but the due date has changed to 11 a.m. So if you're going to change a due date, you can just drag and drop on the calendar and it changes the due date. But if you've also got the display after and display until set, and the dragging changes that, you'll need to change it manually. So I'd like to change this to 11 a.m. so that the day that if they come up at 10 o'clock, you know, an hour before it's due, they'll be able to click on the link because it'll be there. It wouldn't be nice to do it the other way. So I'll submit that, and I've updated that. So one way to work on the calendar is that due date, and due dates with all kinds of activities. The other is course calendar. I'm still the instructor. Is to go into add. I'm going to add watch NPR. I'm sorry, NPR. You don't watch NPR. That's National Public Radio. Watch TV show. And let's say that there's a show that I want them to watch at 9 o'clock until 10 o'clock. No repeat, no all day. It is in the demonstration course. And I click Save, and that has now added this item. I mentioned that there were 3 different calendar views, and I've been working in the month, which makes it kind of hard to read what's there because things are scrunched in. Here is the weekly calendar for that same week. Remember, it's highlighted yellow, if you could see that. And here is that watch TV show. And then here is that day. So that if I'm dealing with one day, I can just look at it. I should also make sure that you understand that things like this, the demonstration course, let's see, let me go back to the month view. Sorry if my scrolling is slowing you down. So back in the month view, I'm going to take the demonstration course and I click on this little triangle. Oh, no. Where do I click? No. No. There it is. Nope, that's not it. There it is. Just not a good aim. If you click on that little triangle down in the lower right, you can pick the color that you want that course to be. So I'm going to make it tan, and all of the items that were blue are now tan. So if you've got a set of courses that you want to display and 2 of them have similar colors, you can go down and change whatever color you want within the limits that are here. And in fact, you can add a hexadecimal and that makes it black. So if you know hexadecimal and have a favorite color, the blue and or green and orange or something, you can set those colors very specifically. Seems like a bit of overkill to me, because here's a faster way to get to black or almost the same black. But they do give you that capability. There's red. And here you can see a case where I have red and purple, and I really can't distinguish them well. So I find the purple one, that's my personal one. I click on it, and I say, let's make it blue. And I've got red, green, and blue. Those are primary colors. The final thing that I just wanted to remind you of, this is on a separate video that we've got in demonstration, is that there is a course tool called Date Management. And in Date Management, you can select the date adjustment, use this course start date, and just say, listen, it started on Monday, September 23rd last time. Now it's going to start on Monday, January 17th. So adjust everything appropriately. Now I'll have to go in and clean it up because some holidays and things like that will change it. But it gives me a good starting point. You can also adjust by the number of days. So we have some classes that run every, I don't know what they are, 12 weeks or something. So the next one starts 12 weeks later, so you could just put that in. And finally, we've got this list, all dates for review. Now this is one of the weaknesses in the calendar, in my opinion, that all dates doesn't mean all dates. It means all due dates. So if I click Start, it's going to go through my calendar for the demonstration course. It's 100% completed. I click on Next, and here are the things that have dates on them. The 10 questions test, it's due on July 25th. It starts and ends those days. Geography test is available, and a movie bonus from back in March when I was doing some demo work. So I can quickly move those, but all the other things in my calendar, I can't quickly move. So I would guess, just being a computer programmer, that they'll add that capability in the future. But even without that, I think that this is a really strong tool if you want to partner with the students. Now, there are two different philosophies about the role of the instructor. One is that the instructor's role is primarily to present the information and assess the students, kind of the judge, and see whether they've succeeded or not. And the other is that the instructor's role is to assist the students. Some people would say, well, you know, the students have all this information in the syllabus. Why should I put it on Blackboard? And that's up to the students to be responsible for this thing. And that's one way of doing it. Just tell the students that I'm not going to be putting this on. I'm not going to be reminding you when test dates are. I'm not going to be reminding you when due dates are. This is your responsibility. But other faculty, and this is how I taught back in the olden days, other faculty remind the students, we've got a test coming up on Friday. It's going to cover this material. You should be studying for it. How are things going with your papers? And you know, I'm interacting with the students to keep refreshing in their mind what has to be done in my course, because I know they've got 4 other courses that are taking a lot of their time. So in my case, putting this into the calendar might even replace the syllabus. I might say, listen, the syllabus is the rules and procedures for the class, and the topics and the dates that they're going to be taught on and the dates that assignments are due, I'm not going to print out anymore. I'm going to put it online into Blackboard. Part of that is it's easier for the students to find. Part of it is they can focus on weeks and months of their activity. And it lets them combine the material from lots of different courses very easily. So if they see that they have 3 papers due the same week, they can back off and start working on it, but because it's in one calendar for them. And I guess the final thing is that the calendar does have a neat feature, and I'm not going to demo this except to go into the calendar and show you that down at the bottom of the list of courses is Get External Calendar Link. And if I click on that, it comes up with this humongous HTML link. Now you can copy that and then take it to another calendar and paste it in. And everything that happens in Blackboard will be on that other calendar. So if you use Google for your calendar, you can add this URL to it, add this calendar as an external calendar. Everything will be there. When you change it on Blackboard, it will change in Google. Now it's a subscription. It's a one-way subscription. So if it's Blackboard is the original and Google is the copy. So if you can't change it on Google. You're just viewing it on Google. You have to go to Blackboard to change it. But at least you can have everything together. So if you already have a personal calendar that you're using to organize things, this lets you get the material in there. I believe it often also works with Outlook or Office 365, but I'm not an expert at that, so we'll take a look and see if we can document that and figure it out. So, as I said, years ago, when Blackboard added a calendar, I told people, do not use it. And I had some people put all of their material into their course calendar and then come out to the tools and click on calendar, and there was nothing there because that was a different calendar. That was the institution's calendar. And the course calendar was separate from that. Now, I think you should take a look at the calendar. I think the students should be using it. I think the faculty can be using it very productively and help increase learning and keep students on track and knowing what's due and when it's due and that kind of thing. And that finishes my presentation. Let me quit the, let's see, what do I want to do? I want to go back to there, I think. Nope. Nope. Michael, question?
Yes. Does the you mentioned how the calendar could replace the syllabus? Could replace a standard syllabus? Because all your assignments could be listed out on the calendar. I remembered checking this out at one point, and it seemed a little wonky, but if you use the Blackboard syllabus builder, do all the events in the syllabus show up on the calendar?
I don't believe so. I don't think, as I recall, the Blackboard syllabus, and I've only got 3 minutes left, so I have to really hurry, but let's take a look and see. I don't think that those had, I don't think it had a calendar type thing. I think it had sections. But let's go into course documents, build content. Here's syllabus down here. So I'm going to add a syllabus. It asks me for my name. Should put a semester on it or something, and then I say create new syllabus, and that will begin then asking me the material. So all it's going to do is give me headings and topics. So it starts off and it says, okay, give me a description of the course, give me the learning objectives for the course, give me the required materials for the course, lets me choose the document image, create specified number of lesson shells. So I could create like 10 lessons, 10 units, whatever.
Well, that's what I was wondering. If you create individual lessons, I think then you give them a date, and that's, I think, and then do they show up on the course calendar?
Well, let's see if I can leave everything empty except for the number of lessons. I'm not going to have a display after or until, because I want them to be able to see this document all the time. Click on Submit. Let's see if it tells me that anything is required. No, okay, so now I edit Lesson 1. And the question is, does it have a due date? No, but let's put the lesson time for, I don't think I've got anything on Tuesday the 29th. The date and the time, sorry, for jamming things together there. Here I can actually type the time. So let's do that. Let's put the description here. Oral presentations. And that wouldn't be the unit, that would be the actual lesson that day. And I didn't see, I guess I can go back and put the, oh, what did happen? Did I, oh, this is one of those where you have to select it and clear the box. Isn't that wonderful? Blackboard considers human worth and makes sure that we still have a job by not programming it in for us. Okay, so now I've got a lesson date and time. Let's say OK. Let's go to the course calendar, and let's see on the 29th, nope. That would be very nice. And I wouldn't be surprised to see it added at a future point, but at this point it's not.
Yeah, so I was hoping it would be there. It would seem, if there was a good integration between the calendar, it seemed like it might be a way to start getting the faculty more into using the LMS, but the syllabus just seems pretty limited there. Looks like we're going to be stuck with more Word documents attached to the course for a while.
Well, or at least the, well, I guess it depends on how you're going to display the information. If the calendar is adequate to display it, do that. If the calendar isn't adequate to display it, leave it empty. And you know, then put it into the syllabus. But I do recommend separating the syllabus into two parts: policies and procedures and dates and topics, because the dates and topics change every semester. The policies and procedures rarely change, and when they do, you want to make note of it. Really think about the change and what you're trying to accomplish and that stuff. So I always recommend two documents for a syllabus. And then my thought here was perhaps you could build the dates and topics and assignments into the calendar. The assignments you can do if they're in Blackboard. And you know, I don't know if this calendar, when you look at the one on the screen right now, is too busy, because I've got all the lectures there. You know, I'd like to be able to hide those while I just look at the due dates, because that's what I really care about as a student. Maybe I shouldn't, but that's what they want to know. When is this due? What do I have to do? So, but yeah, I do expect improvements of this over time. Blackboard does have an idea exchange and a suggestion. does anybody here, Brett, Rick, do you remember what the URL is to submit an idea like that? Just that if a lot of people submit it, then they put it onto the list and consider it as a next feature. Blackboard.com/suggestion I would start with, but because that would be great. It's just like the Blackboard.com. My window isn't big enough. Ding, 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 ding. Contact us. Suggest product enhancement.aspx. Thank you, Brett. It's at the bottom of the Blackboard.com page. So if you just go to Blackboard.com, there's a link there to have suggestions. Clearly, that's what they want to do, especially coming back from Blackboard world. They're looking for ways to simplify that flow. They talk about reimagining education, but at least taking what we're doing now and saying, listen, you only should have to do it once, and then it should go everywhere, and put the things out there that you want. So I think that they're looking at that kind of thing, and yes, it would be nice. Anybody else? Okay, I'll hand it back to Brett then. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. So next week, July 30th, Bill and I will be presenting. I will be doing notification email settings, and Bill will be doing course customization with teaching styles and properties. Thank you for joining us, and I'll see you next week.